TG Geeks, episode 21, May 11th, 2015. Insert witty comment here. So much for my script editing skills. Hello and welcome to another webcast from tggeeks.com, where Ben and Keith, the Two Gay Geeks, talk about all aspects of geekdom and nerdery. Sci-fi, comics, film, horror, genre, you name it, we talk about it. I'm Keith Lane, your producer here at TG Squared Studios in lovely Phoenix, Arizona.
And I'm Ben Raggington, also in lovely Phoenix, Arizona. Okay, so let's start off with some movie news. Now, we just recently had, of course, Avengers Age of Ultron, and now everybody is already looking towards Captain America Civil War. But despite the fact that this is a Captain America film, and of course we all know that Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man is going to be in there, this might as well be just Marvel's greatest hits, because even though it's called Captain America Civil War, he's just one of several superheroes that are scheduled to appear in this comic book adventure.
Superheroes galore.
It pretty much is. I mean, we don't even have Ant-Man out yet, but Paul Rudd is already scheduled to be in this film.
Amazing.
Which I think is very exciting. Chadwick Boseman, who will also be making his very first appearance as Black Panther. There's also a rumor that Spidey will finally make his first appearance in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Interesting.
Yeah, and there's still talk about who they're going to be casting, but right now one of the top, I can't think of his actual name anymore. He was the star of Ender's Game, and was also in the movie Hugo. That young actor, he's right now they're looking at casting him to be Spider-Man.
Of course, you had to say that. Now I can't remember.
No, I can't remember his name either. It just went out of my head. But of course, rounding out the cast of this really very, very full movie, we're going to have, again, Sebastian Stan as Bucky Barnes / Winter Soldier, Daniel Bruhl as Baron Zemo. I don't know.
The heck is Baron Zemo?
I have no idea. Frank Grillo will be coming back as Crossbones. He was the head of the strike team in the last Captain America film. And coming back, William Hurt as General Thaddeus, quote-unquote, Thunderbolt Ross. Now, people may not remember who he is. He was in the second Hulk film, the one that starred Edward Norton. He played the father of Betty Ross, and he was the general that was definitely wanting to get his hands on the Hulk and make him a weapon for the military. Also,
IMDb, you are my friend.
Yeah,
Asa Butterfield.
Asa Butterfield, thank you very much. Yes, right now he's one of the two top contenders to be Spider-Man. Also, other people that are going to be coming back: Scarlett Johansson as Black Widow, Anthony Mackie as Falcon, Paul Bettany as Vision, Jeremy Renner as Hawkeye, Don Cheadle as War Machine, Elizabeth Olsen as Scarlet Witch. This might as well be another Avengers movie, if you want to think about it. Two interesting things that I want to mention of this casting, though. Martin Freeman has just been cast to be a part of the cinematic universe. Now, this had to make me laugh, because it's like no matter where Benedict Cumberbatch goes, Martin Freeman follows, and vice versa. It's like these two have now become the ultimate package team. I'm even surprised Martin Freeman wasn't even in the last Star Trek film. He should have been. Because now that Martin Freeman's going to be a part of the cinematic universe, I mean, part of me wonders, will they actually cast him in the upcoming Doctor Strange film? I can only hope, because it would just be like a nerd heaven. But the last one that I want to mention is Emily Van Camp as Agent 13. We saw her as Steve Rogers. 13. Agent 13. We saw her as the neighbor to Steve Rogers in the last Captain America film. We only knew her by Sharon. Well, this news story that I'm reading from Variety only confirms what I had suspected for a long time. Her last name? Carter. Do the math. So, and I don't think even Steve Rogers knows. I don't think Peggy's even told him. So I kind of really got really excited about that.
That's pretty cool.
The story also does say that there is chance that we would see Spider-Man show up, even though he's got his own movie planned for 2017. Now, principal photography has already begun at Pinewood Studios in Atlanta.
Atlanta?
Yeah, Pinewood Studios in Atlanta, Georgia? Pinewood Studios, I thought, was in London.
Yes, something's wrong.
Well, that's what the story says. So unless they have another studio location in in Georgia, I mean, who knows? But the movie will be directed by Joe and Anthony Russo, the brother team that oversaw the previous Captain America film. So I think that's kind of exciting.
Yeah.
So now, so we've already gone over Captain America and the casting there. And I had mentioned Scarlet Witch, Elizabeth Olsen. Well, there's a story that came out recently that has me just totally perplexed, and I know it's going to just kind of gnaw at all of you. Somebody wrote an article saying 4 reasons why the Scarlet Witch should get her own movie. Yeah. Yeah. I'm only going to mention one of these things, of the 4. I mean, the fourth one doesn't even... The fourth one says she's got her own theme song. And if you clicked on the link, it took you to Witchy Woman by the Eagles. So,
oh, please.
No, absolutely not. But the one reason... they gave 2 that I thought were both kind of lame. First one was it could appeal to the Twilight fans.
Really?
No, absolutely not. We don't need to be appealing to any Bella Swan fans. I'm sorry. And the second one says that it could also be Marvel's horror film. I highly disagree with that one. I mean, she's got special powers, which are not too dissimilar to the upcoming Doctor Strange film. So to have her just because of the powers alone, or what kind of tone it might set for the film in terms of her powers, I think is a horrible idea.
I have a problem with giving her a movie and not Black Widow. No, number one, Scarlet Witch, they've already told her story in Avengers Age of Ultron. Basically,
we know her backstory now. We pretty much know everything.
We know all of it. All of it. She's traumatized by her parents getting killed and falling out of a building, and she's scooped up by Hydra and turned into this.
That's it.
End of story.
Yeah, I mean, she's got very little history in terms of her powers. Even though Marvel...
We need Black Widow film.
Because Natasha had been trained since she was a child. Very, very young child when she got recruited by the Black Widow program. So there's a lot of youthful story. And of course, there is the one thing that everybody wants to see is how did she get turned?
Exactly.
What was it that turned her around? We know that Nick Fury had a part of it. There is some kind of suggestion that maybe Hawkeye had something to do with that as well.
Budapest, anybody?
And there's the whole thing about Budapest, so I can't help but wonder, with all the backstory that she's got, why is Marvel not addressing it?
Yep.
And if they want to talk about giving different kinds of themes to films, I come back to this. Having a Black Widow story, especially if they're going to do one like about Budapest and her reformation, man, that has got like the Bourne trilogy just written all over it. I mean, that will be an excellent theme. So, yeah, I think the idea of giving Scarlet Witch her own film. And
I just want to say a little something about the Black Widow piece that they did in Age of Ultron. And several people have a big problem with it. And I didn't, until I read it, didn't think about it. But basically, she was saying that she was a monster because she can't have children. And then I saw an article that went into all these other feminist memes about, Scarlet Witch and all of that. And, well, yeah, I could agree with some of them saying that she slept with all of the Avengers. I don't believe that.
That's rubbish.
That's rubbish. And that she's a monster because she can't have children. That's rubbish. That line should have been cut to begin with. Anyway, enough of that.
Yeah. So, Marvel, please, If anybody there is listening to us, if anybody in our listening audience knows anybody at Marvel, I'm going to say this again. Keith and I are both going to echo this. Black Widow movie.
Exactly.
She has to have her own film. It is imperative.
Hopefully our audience, when we say anybody that knows anybody at Marvel, obviously it's somebody that has decision-making powers, not somebody that works in the mailroom. Obviously.
No, we can't have that. So
I had to qualify that, you know.
Yeah. I mean, if someone has like the ear of Kevin Feige, I mean, by all means, they're not giving Black Widow her own film is the biggest tragedy around.
Absolutely.
So anyway, moving right along.
More Avengers
Stuff. Now, there were some. We saw it again. We saw it a second time last weekend, and we were with some friends. Actually, the children of some friends. We took them out to see the film, and one of them talked about how confusing it was. And there is some confusion regarding this film, and it turns out that Marvel and Joss Whedon did not exactly see eye to eye in terms of the final edit of this film.
The final cut.
The final cut of this particular flick. Now, Whedon explained that Marvel's main issue was with Thor's subplot involving Eric Selvig, who was played by Stellan Skarsgård, which involved the pair trying to get to the bottom of Thor's dark apocalyptic dream. The studio apparently they were not very big on the farmhouse scene, which of course saw the gang reconvene at Clint's home with his secret wife and children. Now, as Whedon put it, he said, with the cave sequence, it really turned into Marvel pointed a gun to the farm's head. They said, give us the cave or we'll take out the farm. Ba-dum-bum.
Yeah.
So Whedon then admitted that the entire sequence with Selvig and Thor got seriously edited down, and because of that, it is now extremely convoluted and confusing, which obviously is something that Whedon is not very happy about, and he ended up by saying that he felt they threw the baby out with the pond water. So, yeah, and I will admit, that scene did seem very weird.
Yeah, it was a bit weird.
I mean, we see Thor show up to meet Selvig, and then they go off someplace, and the next thing we know, they're in a cave, and there's just very little backstory about what this cave is and how it's going to help Thor. I mean, he gives just a brief one-liner about it, and I still kept feeling that there should have been more there. So,
can anybody say director's cut?
Yeah, well, yeah, this is one time where I'm really hoping for deleted scenes, because that's something that I very much want to have kind of cleared up, because I found that to be just weird.
Well, and you know, since Marvel is now owned by Disney, they'll release it 12 times.
Well, of course they will.
Just to get more money out of you.
Yeah, hey, because it's not just the House of Mouse, it's the House of Money. So, speaking of Avengers now...
More Avengers.
Well, this is not so much about Avengers itself, but what Avengers represents. Now, this was a very interesting story that appeared... I'm not sure... Oh, it was on a Hollywood rag, I suppose. This person suggests that Avengers, because of the amount of money that it's making, is setting a bad precedent for all of Hollywood. Now, she writes that by the time you read this, millions of people will have already seen Age of Ultron. The film opened early on Thursday, and by the end of its first weekend, could bring in as much as $260 million at the domestic box office alone. Now, basically, and I'm not going to read the whole article, but basically what she's proposing, and she's actually taking an idea that I think Steven Spielberg voiced a number of years ago. And that is, if the studio starts putting out big blockbuster films that have enormous budgets, certain dollar amounts are going to be expected in terms of box office returns. And that this could set the bar at a rather unnaturally high level. And as a result of that, this could make smaller independent films somewhat threatened. How, in order for them to be considered a success, in order for any movie to be considered a success, it's got to make X number of dollars now because of these big blockbuster films. And it's going to continually raise the bar in terms of what other movies are expected to make.
Yeah.
What is your thought on that?
I think that there is some credence to that. I think that the box office blowouts that these movies are being is really detrimental to some really good films being made, because the studios don't want to take a chance on this. They want something that's going to make them money hand over fist,
And they might not want to actually do heavy marketing. I will agree with you that there's a movie that is out now, which for very strange reasons is almost being categorized as an art film in terms of its independence, and that's Ex Machina.
Yeah.
Which even though it got released overseas well before it got released domestically, the critical reviews for this film are astounding. We've yet to see it. We almost had a chance, but it sold out, so we didn't get the opportunity. But the critics are raving about it. However, there is like zero marketing going on for that film. And I'm kind of wondering, maybe the studio is feeling like, oh, we're going to be coming out. It's the summer season. We got these big blockbusters. Let's not spend the extra bucks.
Right. Well, just so that you know what Box Office Mojo says, the opening for Age of Ultron was 191 million, and so far now it's grossed 257 million at this date. So,
well, my thought. I mean, of course, there is something to be said about what this the writer of this story comes up with. However, I don't think it's ever going to really escalate out of control like the way she fears it might. Yes, you are going to have the smaller films that will be considered box office failures. That is going to happen, and that is sad. I admit it's not fair to them, especially if they're putting out a really good product. Right. I mean, like Chris Evans, not long ago, released a romantic comedy, but I don't think it's going to get any serious play because the studios aren't really. I mean, even though he's a name, they're not pushing it.
Right.
So it's probably going to be considered a box office failure. Ex Machina, I'm sure it's going to be considered a box office failure. But just as much as these big box office hits raise the bar, I hate to say it, but I think the box office failures are going to keep the bar from going too high. It may serve as a counterbalance, financially speaking, in the Hollywood business.
Yeah. Well, they've always had blockbuster films, and those were blockbuster films, and
they've always been around.
They still made other movies, and I think that they should look at that. These blockbuster films are making money hand over fist, and that you kind of put in the pot to kind of spread the wealth, if you will, to make the films, the art films, the films that need to be made.
Well, I think that's what a lot of actors are doing. I think that's one of the things that Chris Evans has been focused on. And I know that Robert Downey Jr. has done that too. He likes to do the big moneymaker movies because he knows that it's going to give him a really good payday. And then he can turn around and work on the art films that he really wants to do.
Exactly.
And I think directors, and I think some directors actually do the same thing. Whether the studio is going to back it or not, that's a different matter. Mm. And so if there is any danger of this kind of box office escalation that we're seeing, it's really at the fault of the studio.
Yeah. There was something recently, not necessarily recently, and I don't know, I can't think of any of the names or what film it was, but I know that there have been films where actors have shown up, big name actors have shown up in films for scale, so
it means nothing to them, I guess.
Right. I mean, but
or they believe in the product so much that it's not so much about a big payday, or actually, the smart actors, the really smart actors, they take one look at the product and they realize, they can read the tea leaves and they can say, oh, this thing's going to be a monster hit. So what they do is they end up, they negotiate to get only a cut.
Yeah,
meaning that they'll get something on the back end, so they'll make a huge payday that way.
Yeah, but even with that, what I'm saying is they will appear in certain films because they believe in the film or because they believe in the project, and they're willing to be paid scale just to be in the project and to help the project.
Yeah, I have heard of that. That even is the last couple of years I've heard of actors doing that. Can't think of any actor who has done that though. Shame on us. We should have done our research on that.
Yeah,
but yeah,
it was just a thought that came up as we were talking about this. So,
Well, enough about that. So, and now for something completely different. Keith.
well, I ran across this article and it was kind of interesting, and Ben decided that I should talk about it. And the title of the article, and it was on IO9, and it says, "The only reason why your scotch doesn't taste like meat and bad eggs." And so I thought, oh, well, that's interesting, because I certainly like a nice scotch, and not just any scotch, it's good single malt scotch. And I read down through the article, and the basic gist of the article was that because the alcohol making process is a yeast process, and yeast, the byproduct of yeast is sulfur dioxide, and that's, rotten egg smell. And so they had to figure out some way to get that taste out of there, and this is what it says. "And when yeast is deliberately mashed up in the scotch making process, the entire thing smells like bad and tastes bad. Imagine a drink that smells like sulfur and tastes like a meal of meat, eggs, and vegetables, all of which have gone off." And that's what a lot of tasters got when they got scotch that was made in a special still constructed from steel. The sulfur compounds gave the entire thing an awful ripe taste. So then he goes on to say, "So why does your scotch, your whiskey, your bourbon taste good? Because generally brown liquors made in copper stills, and copper is greedy for sulfur."
That's interesting. I
Yeah.
did not know that.
Yeah, scotch is made in, those pear-shaped copper stills, and, a lot of the other brown liquors are. And so copper is just a greedy for sulfur, it says. In fact, some of the sulfur dioxide does appear in some wines, and they'll put copper sulfate crystals in their wines to get rid of the hydrogen sulfide, not sulfur dioxide. Why did I say sulfur? It's hydrogen sulfide. So anyway, so that's my little
Well, considering
craziness.
that, I mean, Keith and I both enjoy scotch. I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, to me, it's an amazing drink. I don't want to kind of go off too far on the beaten path, but we've many an occasion we've gone on vacation and we've enjoyed good scotch tastings, and to me, an acquired taste, yes, but holy cow, when you've learned to appreciate the taste of scotch, watch out.
And there are so many out there, and so many different tastes, and the longer it ages, the better it tastes, and it makes it better.
Oh, and it can,
gosh.
sadly,
Smooth.
it can be a very expensive luxury.
Yeah.
But
Yes.
what a nice luxury.
Yeah, I had a crazy little story that I told about. I'd gone to a work conference in Las Vegas. We were at one of the casinos up north, and I just won a couple bucks on the slot machine, and there was a little bar there, and this was before the conference started. And I saw on the top shelf they had a Macallan 25, and I thought, oh, hey, maybe I'll try to taste that and see. I thought, well, how much could it be? She started pouring. I said, how much is that? She said, it's $145. I said, whoa, stop!
Pour it back!
Exactly. So
I don't even want to smell it.
Expensive. Anyway.
Yeah, what is it, like $50 a smell?
Exactly.
No, thank you.
So, okay, well, we're going to turn it back to Ben for some science stories.
Yes. Now, Cornell University's Institute for Pale Blue Dots. Yes, that is its name. Has been renamed the Carl Sagan Institute, Pale Blue Dots and Beyond, to honor the legacy of Carl Sagan. At an inaugural event for the Institute held on May 9th at Cornell, Sagan's wife and frequent collaborator Anne Durian revealed the Institute's new name. And she said there's a meta quality to this day, honoring Carl by empowering interdisciplinary scientists to search for the answer to his most passionate scientific questioning, seeking to share that understanding with the public and finding in that knowledge applications to life-threatening dangers here on Earth. That was a multi-leveled and highly accurate reflection of who Carl really was. And the big purpose of this institute, well, it will be dedicated to advancing the search for life in the universe. That has been one of Carl's biggest biggest babies to seek not just life in the universe, but where we fit in with that.
Yeah, billions and billions.
And
waste to space.
Yeah, I mean, we always make joke about the billions and billions, but Carl said that to really make a point as to the cosmic scale of the entire universe and how small we are, but yet how unique we are. And if anybody really wants to get a sense of the passion that Carl had for the search for extraterrestrial life, watch the movie Contact.
Yeah.
It's all right there.
It's a great film.
So in the same vein as Carl Sagan, we can turn to Neil deGrasse Tyson, and Keith has something on that.
Yes, Neil deGrasse Tyson gets a second season of Star Talk on the National Geographic Channel. I haven't even looked at his first seasons, but I saw that there's been several. He's had several noted guests, and congratulations to Neil deGrasse Tyson on the second season of Star Talk on National Geographic Channel. And now here are a few selected birthdays for May 11th through May 17th. Sticking with the talking about science theme, Richard Feynman's birthday is on May 11th.
Also on May 11th, Corey Monteith from the TV show Glee. I want to talk a little bit about Corey. This story makes me very sad. Here is a man who had amazing talent and yet had demons. Everybody knows that he died of a very bad mix of drugs, heroin. I think it was a heroin and alcohol overdose, if I remember the story right. And no one is going to paint him in a very bad picture. This was a guy who had his own personal demons that he was never really able to conquer. Corey should not be looked at in a bad way for that. Everybody who knew him said that he was just one of the nicest guys you could meet. If you've ever seen the TV show Glee, then you'll know that his character Finn, well, that was Corey. Corey was Finn, Finn was Corey. Everything that you saw there was a very genuine representation of who Corey Monteith really was. So in light of that, we just simply want to say that if anybody out there, if you know of anyone that is having a problem with substance abuse, there is a national hotline, and it is 1-800-662-HELP. That is 1-800-662-4357, and we will be posting a link for the national helpline on our website.
We'll also want to do the Covenant House Teen Hotline, the 9 line, 1-800-999-9999. It's a general hotline for adolescents, teens, and their families. Assistance with any kind of problem, including alcohol and drug abuse. Covenant House specializes in homeless and runaway youth. 1-800-999-9999.
And I believe that will also be posted on our website.
Yes. And back to the birthdays. May 12th, Bruce Boxleitner is 64. May 13th, Beatrice Arthur. She's a groundbreaking female actress that pushed the limits of where women on TV could go. And not only just women, but everything. I mean, everything
really
that swirled around her.
Yes.
and everything.
She was an extremely, and still, she was an extremely strong personality.
Yep.
And was all about equality and social justice. I mean, so yeah, she was an amazing person.
Absolutely. And also in 1686, Gabriel Fahrenheit was born on May 13th. So Fahrenheit degrees,
yeah,
the measurement
yes.
system. May 14th, George Lucas will be 70. Kate Blanchett's birthday is on May 14th. Sofia Coppola is 43. Francis Ford Coppola's daughter. She's a director and has lots of films out there. Also,
yes.
Robert Zemeckis. He is 62 on May 14th. On May 15th, James Mason. Oh my gosh. How many creepy parts did James Mason do?
And
how many great parts?
Not
only creepy, but just great parts.
Exactly. My mom and I were talking about him the other day, and the fact remains, I mean, for actors that came out of his era were not really noted for being great actors. They were being known for being stars. I mean, they always played themselves. James Mason, I mean, the one thing that identified him was his unique speech pattern, but he was a great actor.
Yeah.
And yes, when it came to creepy parts, whew, watch out.
Salem's Lot.
Yeah.
Woo, creepy. May 16th, Pierce Brosnan is 61.
Wow.
And Danny Trejo is 70.
Machete!
May 17th, Craig Ferguson is 52.
He's younger than me. I want to cry now.
Yeah, I had to put that in there just because of the Scotch reference we did earlier.
Yeah.
Craig Ferguson. And Bill Paxton is 59. And that should do it for our birthdays this time.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Technorama, the podcast for geeks, because geeks are better than cool. You don't hear someone say, "Get away from me, you cool person." Who's gonna have their 65-inch home theater system installed by the Cool Squad? Not me, that's for sure. How much cool cred do you have? Not enough to care about. Think you'll find any canned unicorn meat at thinkcool.com? It's just a part domain name. They don't even have roadkill in a paper cup. That's why you need to start listening to Technorama, because that's what geeks do. Go to chuckchat.com and listen to Technorama before you turn cool.
Yes, please go on over there to chuckchat.com and check out Technorama. It's a pretty cool show. We participate every once in a while. So now we're going to do some listener feedback.
Well, I want to start off with something that we got from Crazy Joe over at Megapodzilla, and I just love this. He went to a con in his neck of the woods, and the big person that was supposed to be there was comedian Judy Tenuta. Now, he sent me a message and asked me if I wanted anything, and I said, oh, just a picture, whatever. Well, he sends us in the mail this it's this fabulous professional shot of Judy, sort of in this very feathery naval type, I mean naval, I mean like sailor kind of outfit, saluting and holding her trademark blue accordion with the name Judy tattoo placed on it. And she autographed it with this: "To Ben and Keith, 2 hot stud duckies. It could happen.
It could happen.
Judy Tenuta."
Judy Tenuta.
And I just, that's going to a special place of honor here in our TG Geek studio. So thank you, Joe.
Thank you very much, Joe.
I laugh every time I look at that and I see it. That was really awesome. So thank you, Crazy Joe.
We owe you one. You have
Yeah,
to
big time.
Look at the Phoenix Comic-Con guest list and see if there's anybody.
Yeah,
you like.
take a look at Phoenix Comic-Con. If there's anybody there that you are really interested in, we will make a point of getting a photo there and maybe sending that one off to you as well.
Yep. Okay, we also have 2 things from Brian Weber, aka Arkle. His response to our last episode when we were talking about who lost an arm.
Yeah, a Marvel character was supposed to lose an arm in each of the Phase 2 films, and we sort of got stumped on Thor 2.
And he said, in Thor: The Dark World, Thor lost an arm.
In quotes.
Yes, in quotes. Thanks to Loki's illusions as part of their plan to trick Malekith.
So it was a fake out.
It was a fake out.
But
didn't truly lose his arm.
He didn't really lose his arm, but so it was that's the kind of thing that I guess the Marvel movies are doing. So they may lose an arm, but it's not real. Same thing like with Groot. So be that as it may.
You idiot! It'll grow
back.
And the other thing, thanks to Arkle, is on Netflix there is a documentary. It's called Atari Game Over, and it's a documentary about the Atari's game E.T. that was buried in a landfill because it was about to bring the company down. So we'll have to watch that. Kind of interesting. That was supposed to be their big release, and it virtually killed the company. Mm-hmm. So thank you to Arkle for those 2 items. If you have a comment, you can comment on our Facebook page or YouTube episodes over on YouTube or at tggeeks.com. You can leave a comment there on our webcast or anywhere on the website that you wish, and you might receive a shout out on a future episode. Or you can call our listener feedback line and we will play your comment on air. 469-TG-GEEKS. That's 469-844-3357. And a special note, if you are a Skype user, you can look us up on Skype. We are TG Geeks. Send us a request for an ad, and then we will add you, and you can call us on Skype and leave a voicemail. It doesn't cost anything. So leave us some feedback.
We'll play it. We'll share it.
We'll talk to you.
Yes. Okay, so now for some TV news. Now, this is breaking. Fox, right on the heels of NBC canceling Constantine, Fox has ordered a new series called Lucifer. It is based on the character Lucifer. Yeah, not wrong, Lucifer. Based on the character introduced in 1989 by Neil Gaiman and Sam Keith in The Sandman, before he went on to star in his own long-running series. It was written by Mike Carey and illustrated by Peter Gross, Ryan Kelly, and Dean Armstrong. This will be written by Tom Kapanos, who wrote I think it's an HBO series called Californication, and it'll be directed by Len Wiseman, who did Underworld. This pilot will be starring Tom Ellis, who was in Once Upon a Time as well as Doctor Who. Be curious to find out who he played there. And he will be playing the Lord of Hell, who, bored and unhappy, resigns his throne and abandons his kingdom for Los Angeles. There he gets his kicks helping the police punish criminals. This is seriously demented. Ellis will be joined by Lauren German as Detective Chloe Dancer, Rachel Harris as Kim Martin, D.B. Woodside as, wow, that's a tricky name, Amenadiel. I'm not quite sure if I'm sure I'm pronouncing that incorrectly. Leslie Ann Brand as Maze, Nicholas Gonzalez as Dan, and Scarlett Estevez as Trixie. This project hails from Warner Brothers Television, DC Entertainment, and Jerry Bruckheimer Production. So that's going to be kind of interesting. I'm not quite sure what to think about that. From what I've read a little bit, it seems to be also sort of taking place in the same universe, comic book universe as Constantine. So who's to say what's going to be happening there? It'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
Interesting, yes.
Yeah. Now, ABC just greenlit something which I have a funny feeling is going to set just Crazy Joe completely over the edge. It is a grown-up reboot of The Muppets. Yes, Waka Waka! The ABC executives, apparently, they were so enamored with the first episode of this grown-up reboot that they gave it a series order. I didn't even know about this pilot.
I didn't even heard about it.
No, I didn't either. Now, the show will be presented as a mock documentary, much like The Office or Arrested Development. We'll finally get to see what life is really like for the Muppets when they are not singing and dancing. The show is being developed by Big Bang Theory. Now there, Joe's going to just completely go ape. He's going to want to punch these guys in the junk. Watch it. The show is being developed by Big Bang Theory co-creator Bill Prady and anger management writer-producer Bob Cushell. The official synopsis is, The Muppets return to prime time with a contemporary documentary-style show that, for the first time ever, will explore the Muppets' personal lives and relationships, both at home and at work, as well as romances, breakups, achievements, disappointments, wants and desires, a more adult Muppet show for kids of all ages. To say that I'm nervous...
It could be interesting, or it could really.
This could really.
bomb.
This could either be hysterical or it is going to tank in the worst imaginable way.
Well, I think it's going to be all about the writing. It's got to stay in the style of the Muppets, though.
It has to, in a way, but to try and make a mockumentary show a la The Office or Arrested Development, but keep the Muppets the way they are, could be really. I mean, I think it'd be really funny if all of a sudden we go off stage, we go to Kermit's home, and he's a foul-mouthed smoking frog.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be kind of funny. It might damage children if they're watching this. So this may be a not for a primetime kind of show. So we'll just have to wait and see how this all goes.
Kind of like in Roger Rabbit, the baby was
cigar smoking
philanderer.
Exactly. Yeah. So it might be along those lines. We'll just have to wait and see how that goes.
Yeah, it could be interesting.
Now, a TV show that we've heard about since our days with Slice of Sci-Fi. This goes back. We've heard about this for some time now.
Yeah.
It's called Sense8. It is by the Matrix creators, the Wachowskis, and Joe Michael Straczynski. This is a series that is being developed for Netflix. And the trailer for this just dropped. We'll be placing the placing the trailer on our website, so you can look for it there. And it is the story of 8 different people across the globe who suddenly find themselves connected, able to tap into each other's minds, skills, and physical abilities. Daryl Hannah is going to be in this. That just threw me for a loop. I was not ready for that one.
Yeah.
Lost's Naveen Andrews, and Wachowski mainstay Joe Pantoliano, who people might remember him also from The Matrix. He was the traitor of our little intrepid group of heroes. They will be featuring out the cast. Now, the trailer features an actor whose name, sadly, I no longer remember, but he was one of the big stars for Stargate Universe. A really, really great actor, and I'm very happy to see that he's also going to be a part of this. Now, it's kind of a surreal head trip concept. Now, that fits perfectly with movies like Cloud Atlas, while also following in the paths of show like Heroes. If there's been an overarching criticism of any of the Wachowski films, since the first Matrix film, is that they're trying to just, jam and cram way too much into their films. So what you end up getting is something that looks enormously beautiful, but is an entire mishmash, which may, so it becomes very confusing and very difficult to follow. But by having this kind of television series for Netflix, it allows them to tap into all of the many story and character and philosophical ideas that I think the Wachowskis really want to play with, while still having the elbow room to weave some kind of a narrative over the course of all these episodes. And now with Sense8, they're going to be doing a 12-episode series, which I think is pretty much the standard for most Netflix shows. I mean, I think House of Cards does that, and Daredevil did that. So I'm really excited about this, and it will be bingeable in a 4K set on June 5th.
Yeah, it looks like Freema Agyeman is in 3 episodes.
Is she?
Yeah.
Wow. So
Daryl Hannah's 3 episodes. Let's see. I'm just looking on IMDb.
I remember who Naveen Andrews was. Yeah, I remember him from Lost. Right. He was the terrorist.
Right. And Jamie Clayton's in 12 episodes. Max Remelt is in 11 episodes. Let's see. Who else? Any other names that I recognize?
I'm not sure.
Anyway.
Well, it looks really interesting. I'm very excited about this.
Yeah, could be interesting.
Yeah, because we just finished watching Daredevil, and I think we're going to talk about that a little later. But it's nice to have a new show.
Yeah,
and I'm just like so
something
jazzed.
For the summer. I think that the networks and or whoever else are missing the boat on summer shows. We should be coming back with.
I have no idea.
With Tony Curran.
Oh, Defiance.
Defiance.
Yes, Defiance is supposed to be coming back very, very soon. I know a start date has been announced for that. I don't quite have it at my disposal right now, but yeah, that'll be coming back very soon. I think that comes back in June. The previous few years have done that. The previous 2 seasons did.
I think that the summer episodes, they could do summer everybody DVRs and records everything anyway. So
yeah, we're all into this big time shifting. So while maybe a lot of people do travel, I think Netflix has really got the right idea because a lot of people like to bring their portable devices now.
Yeah.
And this would be a great way for people to kind of stay on top of shows. A lot of shows are making their products available online anyway.
Even if they did singular episodes on Netflix or Hulu or whatever, I still think that that's the way to go for the summer programming.
Absolutely. I think it's a great idea.
Yeah.
So, jumping over to fall television. Actually, not quite fall. Not quite fall yet, but this has a hinting for the fall. This is actually more in regards to an upcoming finale that I'm just...
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's an upcoming finale for The Flash. Hawkgirl and other DC characters are going to be debuting in The Flash finale. With the title, summary, and lineup of the CW's newest TV installment of the DC Universe just announced, the heroes and villains of the new series DC's Legends of Tomorrow are actually going to be arriving in the Flash season finale on May 19th.
How about that?
So we're going to get Brandon Routh is going to be showing up. Here's one that I got really excited about. Clara Renee as Hawkgirl is going to be showing up. Doctor Who's Arthur Rory Darvill as the time-traveling hero Rip Hunter is going to be in there. Prison Break's Wentworth Miller as Flash supervillain Captain Cold. Dominic Purcell as Wentworth Miller's brother, who is Heatwave. Victor Garber as Martin Stein. There's also a possibility that Robbie Amell will also be there. And will also Attack of the Block's Franz Drama. And this one is new to me. He's a character named Jay Johnston, who is described as a former high school athlete whose pro sports career was derailed by injury. Now making ends meet as an auto mechanic, Jay will he will show up to have a surprising affiliation with the Star Labs crew. Now, the first thought that ran through my head was he's going to be Cyborg, as was introduced in the Teen Titans. That's what I'm thinking. And it would make perfect sense because DC's always trying to kind of one-up, or at least DC Television, they're trying to one-up what Marvel is doing. Marvel has Deathlock on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So now, what do? You bring in Cyborg. Now, I did bypass one name, Carrie Lotz. Now, there's a reason I did that. There was a second story that also talked about this Flash finale. But I'm going to read exactly what I read in this particular article. It goes down, he lists Brandon Routh, the Atom, and it says, Carrie Lotz, Sarah, quote-unquote, Canary Lance.
What?
Stop. Think about that for a moment.
What?
Exactly. All the previous stories that we've read thus far have never identified who Carrie Lotz is going to be playing. I mean, as we all know, anybody who follows Arrow knows that Sarah Lance was killed. Compliments of Thea, compliments of Malcolm Merlyn.
Compliments of the...
I mean, connect the dots there. But ultimately, Malcolm Merlyn was the architect behind the killing of Sarah Lance.
Yeah.
And now this one particular story is actually saying that she's coming back as Canary?
Yeah, I don't know.
I find that a little hard to believe. I mean, we did just recently get the Lazarus Pit. We finally saw it used to bring Thea Queen back to life from the dead.
Yeah, but oh my gosh, she's kind of a little ripe in that grave now.
Well, you'd think, unless I don't know.
Who knows?
I'm a little puzzled by that. I don't quite know what to think on that story.
It's the miracle of TV.
Yeah, well, as far as the miracle of TV goes, speaking of bringing people supposedly back from the dead, well, the character of Osgood from Doctor Who is... I wish I could, but Stephen Moffat isn't letting me. She's coming back to Doctor Who, and she's bringing the Zygons with her. Yeah, I really don't want to go too far down this particular story. All I can say is that it looks like she's coming back. This was a story that was on IO9. We all know that from the big Doctor Who anniversary special that a duplicate, people want to refer to as a clone, but that's not entirely correct. She was a Zygon duplicate of the actual Osgood, who worked for the head of unit. So we saw we saw Osgood actually die at the hands of the Mistress, and now they're talking about Osgood coming back. Stephen Moffat has been asked many, many times which Osgood was killed. Was that the Zygon Osgood? Was that the real Osgood? And Moffat actually pretty much in a very bold way stated, oh no, that was the Osgood. That was her. I mean, that was the real one. We really killed her. We're not bringing her back. And that caused a lot of
consternation.
Well, that was the actual word I was going to use, but but the phrase that also ran through my head is it created a great disturbance in the force as millions of voices suddenly cried out in anger. Shut up! So now anybody who's listened to the other podcasts that I do, Fusion Patrol, know that Eugene and I really went round and round on this one. I was livid at the killing of Osgood because her character, if anybody who's seen her in Doctor Who would know that she was a fan. She wore a long scarf like Tom Baker. She had other little physical trademarks that identified her. She wore Converse shoes, much like Dave Tennant. She was, without question, a fan of the Doctor, working for UNIT. And that's the reason she worked for UNIT, is because she grew up with the stories of this miraculous Doctor and all the wonderful things that he did working for the Brigadier, who was the father of the present head of UNIT. So then Moffat goes around and we really don't get much of her. We've got her, dropped off here, a little bit here, different stories here and there. And then finally, in this big story with the Mistress / the Master / the Disaster.
The Master Disaster, yeah.
We finally see Osgood get killed. And I couldn't help but feel like I was being killed in the process. As a fan of Doctor Who in general. Now, Keith and I have made no bones. We have not been huge fans of this last season, save for 1 or 2 episodes which we thought saved the show.
Yeah.
But by and large, we thought last season was really depressing. Very, very bad writing in a lot of areas. So killing Osgood was sort of like a nail in the coffin to me.
Yeah.
I mean, how did her death affect you?
I was a little disturbed by it because it kind of said, we don't care for the fans. We don't care what happens to the fans.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the way I feel about the show right now, is we're writing just for the writing's sake and for a paycheck. Who cares about the fans? Because I certainly have not decided whether I'm going to pick up and watch Doctor Who when it comes back.
Well, I will be, because I have to for Fusion Patrol, but I certainly understand your concerns. I mean, I don't need to go down that road again. Needless to say, she will be coming back with the Zygons, and of course, if the Zygons are there, there's a strong implication that is the fake Osgood. But I do want to end with one final thought, and that is Moffat is much like the Doctor. As River Song has repeatedly said, the Doctor always lies. Stephen Moffat always lies. So we could be getting the actual Osgood back. I can only hope so.
Who knows?
So on to something a little bit more pleasant. Marvel and Netflix, they did announce that there is going to be a season 2 of Daredevil. Hooray!
Okay.
I was really, really happy about that. And in addition to the return of Daredevil, Rosario Dawson.
Yay.
She's coming back as Claire Temple, also known as the Night Nurse. I like that name.
Yeah, the night nurse.
I like that. I mean, that kind of gives her her own little air of mystique.
Yeah, I was pleased with the ending of this first season. We finally finished watching it, and it was really great.
Oh,
I love.
Oh God,
Daredevil.
That was such a great run.
Yeah,
I so totally
no
enjoyed myself.
spoilers for anybody that hasn't
No.
watched it. But
No, we're
it
not-
is
we're not- yeah.
absolutely fabulous.
And we know that there are people that have not finished watching the entire series yet, but we got through it, and satisfying is an understatement.
yes,
It was so unbelievably enjoyable. I loved everybody in the cast.
yeah,
I thought
great.
it was such a great show, and my one little disappointment was that it appeared that we weren't going to be getting Claire Temple back, and then the story comes around saying that she has been signed for season 2. But wait, there's more. That's only a small piece of this deal that Rosario Dawson signed. The release also states that her signing is part of, hang on people, part of a larger exclusive TV deal that it will also allow her to appear in any of Marvel's other Netflix original series.
wow,
That means her character may be patching up Jessica Jones and Luke Cage and Iron Fist.
interesting. Wow.
She could very well be showing up in the Defenders.
cool.
So I think this is very exciting, and this is now an attempt to, it's the first steps at tying in this Netflix verse, before, with Marvel's, aka Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, Iron Fist, as it all comes together for Defenders.
She'll be the Defenders doc.
AKA Night Nurse, AKA Defender Doc, Doc Defender, Defender Doc. Got to think about that one.
Yeah, I have to think about that.
Yeah. As of now, there's no current release date for Marvel's Daredevil season 2, but I would imagine it's probably going to be, because Daredevil dropped in April, if I remember right.
Yeah,
So it'll probably be around the same time then. I'm very excited about that. As we said, we loved Daredevil, and I'm really, really jazzed to see the fact that Rosario Dawson is going to be coming back.
yes.
Now, someone who is not going to be coming back. Sleepy Hollow, the series, will be returning,
Okay.
but we are not getting Orlando Jones,
Yeah, that's interesting.
which I think is kind of a bit of a bummer. So, anyway, he said that Captain Irving will not be reporting for duty when the Fox Supernatural drama returns in the fall. It doesn't really say why.
Well, they had kind of a real shakeup at the end of the season, so that's kind of they're obviously going in a completely different direction. They killed Henry. They killed what's her name?
Ichabod's wife.
Yeah, Katrina, and so okay, where are we going now?
No actual idea. I mean, the stories really don't kind of go off on why he's not coming back. A Sleepy Hollow rep for the show doesn't have any real comment at this present time. It was just recently announced that he won't be coming back. Maybe he felt his story was done. It's hard to say. So I kind of liked the character that Orlando played. He's also a movie actor, so it's very possible that he may not be wanting to return. He may want to be focusing more on his movie career. So sad to say. Goodbye, Orlando Jones. It was fun knowing you on the show, and great luck in the future. Now, as far as the future goes, something that is very, 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 very positive, and that is ABC made some announcements regarding renewals. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yay!
and Agents of Carter.
Agents of Carter, yes.
Yes, Agent Carter has been given the green light for a second season. Now, I don't have much detail yet. ABC really hasn't said a lot, so we really don't know much of the details regarding what form the Agent Carter series is going to take. I think that ABC would be wise to follow the same model that they did last season. Having a mid-season break or mid-season replacement
Yeah.
between the two halves of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was a remarkable idea.
Right. It also paced it for the release of the movie. So
Yeah. Now, the only thing that I would like if they were going to do that, I'd like to see more, maybe, this is just me having a bit of a pipe dream, if they could find some way between the last episode of S.H.I.E.L.D. before the break and then its return, have some kind of episodes, that'll bookend Agent Carter so that it kind of it kind of flows a bit more smoothly.
yeah.
I would like to see that, but other than that, I was deliriously happy
Yeah.
that we
great.
got the return of Agent Carter and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So, and as soon as we get any details, especially with Agent Carter, regarding what form that show's going to take in terms of its broadcast schedule, we will be reporting it here.
Yes.
On the flip side, we have to say goodbye to a favorite show of ours. And when I say a favorite show, I am not joking.
I was very, very sad.
Forever.
Yes.
This was the show that followed Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. on ABC. And while it didn't do exactly stellar numbers, it was reported that the studio execs really liked it.
Yeah.
The heads of ABC, the network executives, thought it was a really good show. And they were enormously happy with what was being delivered in terms of a product. And yet, it was just announced within the last couple of days that it got
yesterday.
Yeah, just yesterday, actually, because that's when, yesterday as of the time we recorded this.
Yes. Yeah.
So May
Friday
8th.
the 8th. Yeah.
Friday the 8th is when ABC made all the announcements for renewals and cancellations, and Forever was one of them.
Yeah. And Johan Gruffudd, classy.
The guy is a really, the man, I'm going to make a bit of a joke here, but the man was top drawer.
He was.
Totally.
Top drawer.
So top drawer. No, all joking aside, the man showed 100% class
Yes.
in his response.
In
to the
his
cancellation.
farewell to fans, etc. It was really a heartfelt farewell, and he said, "Thank you for letting me be Henry."
Yeah.
And he truly was Henry.
There's this, without any doubt, anybody who, granted, we don't know him, we never met him, but there seems to be this big indication based on his farewell letter that what we read in terms of who he is as a person, reading between the lines, you kind of get a sense of who the man is, was portrayed on that television show. And oh God, what a marvelous cast!
Oh my gosh, the chemistry between all of them was absolutely. I loved the captain.
The
She
captain of the
was
police department. She
brilliant.
was fabulous.
It was just the way she delivered her lines. She was the typical straight man, if you will.
She was, but in a way, she had like the best lines.
Oh yeah, she did
at times.
She
and
did.
then there was also Henry's colleague in the morgue.
Yeah.
Oh
They were
God,
all
he was
incredible.
fantastic,
Yeah.
and the show was really giving us some marvelous character development.
And Judd Hirsch was brilliant too.
Well, when is Judd Hirsch not brilliant?
that's
The
true.
guy is a fabulous actor. He deserves Academy Awards all over the place and Emmys, but I think he actually may have won Emmys for Taxi. Guy's a fantastic actor, and he was wonderful in this story. Yep. I loved where the series was going, and even though they did kind of close off their major big plot line regarding a character named Adam,
Right.
there was still so much more story to tell.
Absolutely. But the thing is, the showrunners were wise. In the very last episode, and the very last scene, leaves it where the series could come back or it couldn't come back.
Yeah.
So they left it on a note that doesn't leave you it leaves you hanging, but if that was it, it was good to say goodbye.
Yeah.
So I'm very sad. I enjoyed the show tremendously.
Yeah. So, lastly, a little bit of potpourri. Now, this all came from IO9. This is a single page, and we're going to be posting the link for this on our website because there's too many stories here to cover.
There's just a lot of stuff. Just
Tons,
stuff.
tons, and tons of stuff. But I'm going to hit on just a couple or a few of them. For starters, Kevin Feige in a Q&A with Reddit vehemently denied that Quicksilver could return anytime soon. His statement is, and spoilers for anybody who has not seen Age of Ultron yet, Quicksilver is DEAD. Dead. 100%. He's not coming back anytime soon. There are no plans. No LMD. I have no idea what that's supposed to mean. No escaping bullets. No retcon. He is dead. And we want to make sure that people understand that. So, and something else that came from the Q&A, there are no active plans for one-shots to return.
Oh, no.
Oh, that
Those
breaks my
were
heart.
Great. I loved those.
That kills me because some of the one-shots that we were getting in the Marvel movie releases were brilliant.
You know, they probably cost too much to make.
Maybe. I mean, I can't imagine how...
Just for something that's going to, you know...
Well, I kind of wonder, the one-shot that had... oh, shoot. It was... Oh, the name just went... With Ben Kingsley, where he comes back supposedly as Mandarin in prison.
Yeah.
Oh, but how much money are you going to pay a big actor named Ben Kingsley to appear in like an 8-minute short?
Exactly.
So that could have been costly. And then you look at something, say, like the Agent Carter one-shot. Maybe the production values are too expensive to justify for a one-shot there.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of bummed. I mean, they were a lot of fun. I don't think they need to be really big. I mean, we've seen 2 one-shots with Clark Gregg. So I don't think they don't have to necessarily be very expensive in production, but they could be something just kind of like, you know, add to the overall wealth of the Marvel universe. But as Feige says, he did add, if something comes up, they'll do it. But for now, no. Now, he also added, in terms of the Infinity War, characters will continue after Part 2 of the Infinity War. So that's not the end-all, be-all of this Marvel Cinematic Universe. It is unknown if they will continue with current actors. Nothing set in stone. So if you want to read more on that, just go to this particular article. I'm sure you'll find a lot of very interesting stuff there. Lastly, I want to talk a little bit. The story talked about Wolverine. Now, there's another Wolverine movie coming out, Wolverine 3. Now, despite previously claiming he'd play the role until he died, Hugh Jackman has come out and said that Wolverine 3 is going to be his last go-around as the hero. And he wrote, "It is my last time. It just felt like it was the right time to do it. And let's be honest, 17 years. I never thought in a million years it would last. So I'm grateful for the fans for the opportunity of playing it. I kind of had in my head what we're going to do with this last one. It just feels like this is the perfect way to go out." You know, and one thing we do kind of need to remember, these actors, they're not immortal. Comic book characters, they are. They can live on forever and ever and ever, but the actors, they can't. So when it comes to the big screen, there is something of a built-in shelf life. We're kind of sorry about that.
Yep.
And I want to finish off with this one last thing. DC's Legend of Tomorrow. Now, after weeks of speculation, the Arrow/Flash spin-off title has been revealed as DC's Legend of Tomorrow. The CW did pick the show straight to series, although it could be argued that the Flash finale is a backdoor pilot. And the new description was released as this: "When heroes alone are not enough, the world needs legends. Having seen the future, one he will desperately try to prevent from happening, think to the Flash people." There's a big clue there. Time-traveling rogue Rip Hunter is tasked with assembling a disparate group of both heroes and villains to confront an unstoppable threat, one in which not only is the planet at stake, but all of time itself. Can this ragtag team defeat an immortal threat unlike anything they have ever known? And if people, you're not sure what I'm talking about, take a look at Flash. Every time Harrison Wells goes into his little secret chamber of solemnity, he's always looking at a future newscast, and you always see that one little blurb about the Flash disappearing amid red skies and all that. Well, I would be willing to bet it's got something to do with this. So, take that for what you will. This particular page, we're going to be posting a link for it on the website because, as I said, there's like just story after story after story. It would take me too long to go through all of it. I've spent way too much time on it already. So the link will be on our show, or on our website. Enjoy it at your own leisure.
Okay, that should do it for this episode of TG Geeks Webcast. Remember, you can comment on Facebook or our website, tggeeks.com, or you can leave us a voicemail at 469-TG-GEEKS. That is 469-844-3357. From TG Squared Studios in Phoenix, I am Keith Lane. Thanks for listening. I bid you peace.
Cheers.